What were those early days? Scary, exciting? What were they like?
I remember it almost you feel like you've levitated in some way because you know that you're going to have a chance. And you know, the thing about acting, nobody knows what you can do unless you have the chance to do it.
Fame often paints a picture of confidence and power, but true strength is usually born from silence, struggle, and self-discovery. Glenn Close, known for portraying some of cinema's most fearless and emotionally complex women, is a living contradiction to the idea that greatness comes easily. Behind her commanding presence in Fatal Attraction and her elegance in Dangerous Liaisons stands a woman who learned strength through restraint, patience, and quiet endurance, proving that the most powerful performances are often shaped by the deepest personal battles. How did a woman who grew up in emotional control and quiet discipline become Hollywood's master of psychological intensity? What inner fire allowed Glenn Close to create characters so real that they unsettled audiences and redefined female power on screen? From the terrifying allure of Fatal Attraction to the refined danger of Dangerous Liaisons, her performances feel almost too honest, as if they're drawn from something deeply personal. The mystery is not just how she acted these roles, but how she lived through the experiences that made such emotional truth possible.
Glenn Close was born on March 19, 1947 in Greenwich, Connecticut, into a world that appeared privileged, refined, and secure. Her father, Dr. William Close, was a highly respected physician, a man of intelligence and authority who later became deeply involved in humanitarian and ideological movements. Her mother, Bettine, embodied grace and traditional discipline. From the outside, Glenn's childhood looked structured and prosperous, yet beneath that calm surface lived a young girl who would spend much of her early life learning silence, restraint, and emotional control. These early lessons would later shape the psychological depth that defined her acting. When Glenn was still a child, her family joined a rigid moral organization that promoted strict discipline, obedience, and isolation from mainstream society. This period would become one of the most defining chapters of her life. The organization demanded conformity, discouraged independent thought, and placed intense pressure on families to suppress personal desires in favor of ideological loyalty. Glenn later described these years as emotionally confining, a time when her individuality was slowly muted. She was taught not to question authority, not to express rebellion, and not to trust her own instincts. For a future actress known for portraying fierce independence and emotional dominance, this upbringing was deeply ironic. As a child, Glenn was not allowed to explore who she truly was. Her voice was controlled, her emotions were monitored, her freedom was limited. Yet it was within this silence that her powers of observation grew. She became highly sensitive to human behavior, reading emotions in small gestures, listening more than speaking, absorbing tension in rooms where words were forbidden. These skills would later become her greatest acting weapon. Unlike children who grow up encouraged to perform or express creativity, Glen's creativity developed internally. She was imaginative but careful, emotional but restrained. She learned early that survival meant adapting, listening, and waiting. This emotional discipline built her psychological endurance. While other children played freely, Glenn lived in a world of responsibility and expectation. It made her mature beyond her years and emotionally complex long before she understood what that meant. Her family moved frequently because of her father's international medical work, exposing Glenn to different cultures, languages, and environments. This global upbringing quietly broadened her worldview. Even though she lived under control, she also saw the diversity of human life. She witnessed suffering, poverty, resilience, and dignity across countries. These experiences planted seeds of empathy and realism that later fueled her most powerful performances. What makes Glenn Close's childhood so essential to her artistry is that it taught her how human beings hide pain behind composure. She lived in a world where emotional expression was discouraged, where appearances mattered more than truth. This is exactly why her future characters would feel so authentic. She understood repression, she understood longing, she understood the danger of silence. As a young girl, she was not loud, not rebellious, not attention-seeking. She was thoughtful, inward, and observant. She learned to control fear and confusion with discipline. Instead of breaking her spirit, this environment forged a rare emotional strength. It created a woman capable of portraying obsession, vulnerability, rage, and elegance all at once. Glenn Close did not grow up dreaming of fame. She grew up learning endurance. She learned how power can be hidden, how pain can be masked by grace, and how strength can exist quietly. These lessons would become the invisible foundation of every unforgettable woman she later brought to life on screen. This was not the childhood of a typical Hollywood star. It was the childhood of a future psychological storyteller, shaped by silence, molded by restraint, and strengthened by survival.
Glenn Close's early artistic awakening did not arrive as a sudden burst of inspiration, but as a quiet realization that acting offered something she had never truly known before: freedom. After years spent in an environment defined by discipline, obedience, and emotional restraint, she entered adulthood carrying an unspoken hunger to express herself. When she finally stepped into the world of theater, it felt less like discovering a talent and more like recovering a missing part of her identity. Acting became her language of release, a way to reclaim emotions that had long been controlled and thoughts that had once been suppressed. When Glenn enrolled at the College of William and Mary in Virginia, her life shifted dramatically. It was here that she encountered a space where imagination was encouraged, where voices were valued, and where individuality was celebrated rather than corrected. The theater department became her sanctuary. On stage, she was no longer bound by rules of silence or obedience. She could explore rage, vulnerability, ambition, and desire without fear of judgment. Every role was a small act of liberation, a chance to experience emotions she had been taught to hide. At first, she did not see herself as exceptional. She worked carefully, methodically, and with intense focus. Her strength was not flashy charisma, but emotional truth. Teachers and fellow students noticed her unusual ability to inhabit characters fully, to understand their inner conflicts rather than simply perform their lines. She brought maturity and gravity to roles that often surprised those around her. It was as if her long years of quiet observation had sharpened her psychological insight, allowing her to portray people with remarkable depth even at a young age. Theater gave Glenn something more than confidence. It gave her control. In a childhood where authority had been imposed upon her, acting allowed her to command a space, to shape narratives, to own her presence. This control was not about dominance, but about authenticity. For the first time, she felt powerful, not because she obeyed, but because she expressed. She gravitated toward challenging material rather than light entertainment. Emotional complexity attracted her. She wanted to understand characters who were conflicted, restrained, or morally ambiguous. This instinct would later define her film career. Even in her early stage performances, Glenn avoided simplicity. She was drawn to women who lived in contradiction, who balanced elegance with pain, strength with vulnerability. After graduating, she moved to New York City, where the world of professional theater tested her resilience. The early years were not glamorous. She worked steadily but quietly, building a reputation for seriousness and dedication. Broadway became her training ground. She appeared in productions that demanded precision, stamina, and emotional truth. It was here that she refined the discipline that would later make her one of the most respected actresses of her generation. Broadway shaped Glenn Close into an artist before Hollywood ever discovered her. The stage taught her patience. It taught her how to build characters slowly, layer by layer, performance by performance. It taught her that true power lies not in spectacle, but in honesty. Her breakthrough in theater came with roles that showcased her ability to command emotional complexity. Critics began to notice her presence. She was not merely acting, she was revealing psychological landscapes. Her performances felt grounded, controlled, and deeply human. She became known as an actress who did not seek attention, but earned it. This period was essential because it built her foundation as an artist. Hollywood fame would later magnify her image, but it was theater that shaped her soul. It was in these early years that Glenn Close learned to trust her instincts, respect her emotional intelligence, and embrace the complexity that had always lived within her. Her artistic awakening was not about ambition alone, it was about identity. Acting gave her permission to exist fully, to speak honestly, and to transform silence into strength. It allowed her to rewrite her story, not as a child shaped by control, but as a woman defined by expression. This was the moment when Glenn Close stopped surviving and began creating.
Glenn Close's breakthrough did not arrive as an overnight spectacle, but as the inevitable culmination of years of careful craft, relentless focus, and unshakable discipline. Her journey toward recognition was marked by patience, resilience, and a willingness to endure the frustrations that often accompany early artistic careers. By the mid-1970s, she had established herself in the theater world, earning respect from directors, critics, and peers, yet the wider public had yet to discover her remarkable talent. That moment of transformation, the breakthrough that would signal the beginning of a larger, more visible career, arrived through a combination of opportunity, preparation, and the unique intensity she brought to every role. In 1974, Close appeared on Broadway in productions that tested her skills and demonstrated her extraordinary range. While she had already shown glimpses of brilliance, it was in these demanding roles that audiences began to sense the rare combination of elegance, intensity, and psychological insight that defined her acting. Her performances were not simply technically proficient, they were magnetic, drawing attention to her ability to convey inner conflict with subtlety, nuance, and power. Directors took notice, offering her increasingly challenging parts that allowed her to explore complex emotional landscapes. Her transition from stage to screen was both deliberate and daring. While many actors sought immediate Hollywood success, Close understood the importance of foundation. She viewed each role as an opportunity to refine her craft, to experiment with depth and emotional authenticity. Her first notable screen appearances were carefully chosen, and even when the projects were not mainstream blockbusters, her performances stood out. She brought to each character a sense of realism, intensity, and vulnerability that captivated critics and audiences alike. The true breakthrough moment in her film career came in the early 1980s. By then, Close had built a reputation as a formidable actress with both the skill and the tenacity to dominate complex roles. She had already demonstrated her ability to disappear into characters on stage, and now Hollywood was beginning to recognize that she could translate that power to the screen. Her first major cinematic turning point was in The World According to Garp, 1982, where her role as the brilliant, layered Jenny Fields allowed audiences to witness the extraordinary range that had been cultivated quietly on Broadway. Critics lauded her performance, and industry insiders began to consider her a serious contender for larger, more prominent roles. Close's ability to portray intense, psychologically complex women became her signature. Unlike other actresses who relied on charm or surface-level glamour, she immersed herself fully in the emotional and intellectual depth of her characters. This set her apart in an industry that often typecast women into narrow categories. She was not merely an actress, she was a force capable of redefining the perception of female roles in cinema. Her breakthrough was not simply about recognition, it was about authority and artistic identity. Soon after, her career began an accelerated ascent. Roles in films like The Big Chill, 1983, and The Natural, 1984, allowed her to demonstrate versatility and emotional depth, confirming that her breakthrough was not an isolated success, but the opening of a career defined by consistent excellence. Each performance reinforced her reputation as an actress willing to take risks, embrace complexity, and challenge audiences to engage with the full spectrum of human experience. Behind the scenes, Close's breakthrough was also a test of perseverance. The path from stage acclaim to screen recognition was not easy, and there were moments of self-doubt, rejection, and industry politics that might have deterred a less determined artist. She navigated these obstacles with discipline, using each setback as a catalyst for refinement. Her breakthrough was as much an internal victory as it was a public acknowledgement, a confirmation that years of preparation, focus, and self-exploration had equipped her to succeed at the highest levels. It was during this period that the seeds of her iconic roles began to take root. Directors noticed her ability to embody morally ambiguous, emotionally charged, and intellectually demanding characters. Her breakthrough marked the shift from a talented, respected stage actress to a rising screen star with the capacity to dominate both mediums. It was a pivotal moment that opened the doors to her most famous roles and cemented her status as one of the most formidable actors of her generation. Glenn Close's breakthrough was not defined by a single performance, but by a convergence of preparation, opportunity, and her relentless pursuit of emotional truth. It was the moment when the industry and eventually the world recognized that a new kind of screen presence had arrived, one that could command attention without flamboyance, evoke empathy without sentimentality, and explore the depths of human complexity without compromise. Her breakthrough paved the way for what would become a legendary career, setting the stage for roles that would define cinematic portrayals of intelligence, power, obsession, and vulnerability. This was the turning point, the moment when Glenn Close moved from promise to reality, from potential to achievement, and from a respected stage actress to a force whose impact on film and culture was only beginning to unfold.
The rise of Glenn Close to Hollywood stardom was not merely a product of luck or timing. It was the inevitable result of years of tireless preparation, singular focus, and a fearless willingness to embrace roles that demanded emotional and psychological complexity. By the mid-1980s, Close had transformed from a respected stage actress into a screen presence whose very name signaled artistic integrity and dramatic power. Her ascent was gradual yet unstoppable, marked by performances that captivated audiences, challenged critics, and established her as one of the most versatile actresses of her generation. The turning point in this ascent was Fatal Attraction, 1987, a film that would become synonymous with her name and forever change the perception of what a female antagonist could be in Hollywood. In this psychological thriller, Close portrayed Alex Forrest, a woman whose obsession with a married man spirals into violence and terror. The role was fraught with complexity. She was neither purely villainous nor wholly sympathetic, and her performance demanded a careful balance of menace, vulnerability, and emotional volatility. Close's portrayal was chilling, compelling, and unforgettable. Audiences were riveted by her ability to transform a character into a cultural touchstone, someone simultaneously terrifying and heartbreakingly human. Critics praised her fearless commitment, noting that she brought both sophistication and raw intensity to a role that could have easily descended into caricature. Fatal Attraction catapulted Close into global recognition, earning her an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress and solidifying her place in Hollywood's elite. Yet this success was not the result of a single film. It was the culmination of a career built on stage discipline, emotional intelligence, and an unrelenting pursuit of authenticity. Close had learned that fame, like any art, required precision, patience, and courage. With each subsequent film, she reinforced the perception that she was not just a talented performer, but a transformative one, capable of redefining expectations for women in cinema. Following this watershed moment, Close's career flourished with roles that showcased her range and depth. In Dangerous Liaisons, 1988, she embodied the manipulative, scheming Marquise de Merteuil, a character as elegant as she was ruthless. Close's performance was meticulous, capturing the cold calculation and seductive charm of a woman operating within the rigid constraints of 18th-century aristocracy. Critics lauded her for her precision, emotional intelligence, and ability to convey danger through subtle gestures, glances, and tone. The film earned her another Academy Award nomination, cementing her reputation as an actress capable of mastering both contemporary and period pieces with equal skill. Her ability to oscillate between the modern psychological thriller and historical drama demonstrated a versatility rare among her peers. Close did not allow herself to be pigeonholed. Instead, she sought out roles that challenged her, complicated her public persona, and expanded her artistic vocabulary. Films such as The Big Chill, The Natural, and later Dangerous Beauty exemplified her capacity to inhabit characters with authenticity, depth, and emotional resonance. Each performance added layers to her growing reputation as a fearless, transformative presence on screen. Close's rise to fame was also defined by her meticulous preparation and commitment to character. She did not rely solely on external charm or charisma. Instead, she delved into psychological realism, often studying her character's motivations, histories, and emotional states in exhaustive detail. This approach enabled her to convey subtle complexities that resonated with audiences long after the credits rolled. She became known as an actress who could imbue even the most antagonistic roles with empathy, intelligence, and nuance, a rare quality that set her apart in Hollywood, often driven by spectacle over substance. By the early 1990s, Glenn Close had secured her place as a cultural force. She was no longer merely an actress appearing in films. She had become an emblem of sophisticated, intelligent, and emotionally complex female storytelling. Her fame extended beyond Hollywood. She became a subject of public fascination, a symbol of the power and depth women could bring to screen narratives, and a figure whose performances sparked discussion, admiration, and reflection. Yet, despite her rising star status, Close remained intensely private and dedicated to her craft. Fame did not dilute her artistic rigor. If anything, it sharpened her focus. She approached each new role as an opportunity to explore human behavior, moral ambiguity, and emotional truth. Her career trajectory demonstrated that true fame in acting was not measured solely by popularity or box office numbers, but by the capacity to leave an indelible mark on culture through skill, vision, and fearless emotional honesty. The rise to fame for Glenn Close was therefore not a fleeting blaze, but a carefully cultivated and hard-earned ascent. It was a period in which she transformed from a respected stage actress into an international screen icon, a time when audiences began to associate her name with excellence, sophistication, and unforgettable performances. This stage of her career also set the foundation for the personal and professional challenges that would follow, as the demands of fame, expectation, and artistic ambition converged in a complex, often turbulent narrative. Her ascent reflected the rare combination of discipline, intelligence, and instinct, a woman capable of commanding attention, evoking empathy, and leaving audiences enthralled, all while maintaining a remarkable sense of authenticity and integrity. Glenn Close's rise to fame was not only the story of a career in motion, but also the emergence of a cultural icon whose work would influence generations of actors, filmmakers, and audiences alike.
While the world celebrated Glenn Close as a powerhouse of talent and sophistication, behind the curtains of fame and critical acclaim lay a series of personal and professional struggles that shaped her life in ways few could perceive. Close's rise to stardom was accompanied by an unrelenting pressure to maintain perfection, a burden that weighed heavily on her psyche and tested her emotional resilience. To the public, she appeared poised, polished, and in complete control, but the reality was far more complex. Her inner battles were as intricate and compelling as the characters she portrayed on stage and screen, revealing a side of her life often obscured by the dazzling glare of Hollywood's spotlight. From the earliest days of her career, Close carried an acute awareness of the precariousness of success. The very talent that distinguished her also demanded constant scrutiny, both from critics and from herself. She was notoriously self-critical, often questioning whether her performances truly captured the depth of the characters she embodied. This perfectionism was not merely a professional trait, it seeped into her personal life, manifesting as an unyielding internal dialogue that demanded she constantly prove her worth. Each new role, each film, was both an opportunity and a trial, requiring her to confront self-doubt while striving to meet the high standards she set for herself. The demands of fame brought additional pressures. Close entered Hollywood at a time when female actors were often pigeonholed into archetypes, the ingenue, the seductress, or the supportive secondary figure. Her refusal to conform to these simplistic roles set her apart, but also created tension with studios and directors who preferred more predictable formulas. Taking on complex, often morally ambiguous characters such as Alex Forrest in Fatal Attraction or the Marquise de Merteuil in Dangerous Liaisons meant that she frequently faced scrutiny and judgment both from the public and from the industry. Audiences were captivated by her performances, but some criticized the intensity and darkness she brought to her roles, failing to recognize the courage required to inhabit such emotionally taxing characters. Behind the camera, Close navigated the isolation that often accompanies high-level artistic ambition. Her dedication to craft meant long hours of preparation, repeated rehearsals, and immersion into emotionally challenging material. While this commitment produced unforgettable performances, it also exacted a toll. There were periods of exhaustion, anxiety, and emotional strain, where the line between character and self blurred, leaving Close vulnerable to the psychological weight of her art. She has spoken in interviews about the intense focus required to maintain authenticity in her roles, a focus that sometimes came at the expense of personal comfort, social life, or emotional equilibrium. Another layer of struggle emerged from the challenges inherent to being a woman in Hollywood. Close often confronted a cultural environment that equated youth with value and appearance with longevity, creating a tension between her professional ambitions and societal expectations. She resisted pressure to undergo unnecessary transformations or to accept roles that did not align with her artistic principles. In doing so, she occasionally faced missed opportunities, critical snubs, or limited access to certain high-profile projects. Yet she maintained her integrity, prioritizing roles that allowed her to explore the full spectrum of human emotion rather than chasing fame for its own sake. Family dynamics also played a role in her internal struggles. Close comes from a lineage of accomplished individuals, and growing up with such expectations instilled both ambition and the weight of responsibility. While her family provided inspiration and grounding, there were times when the tension between familial obligations, personal desires, and professional demands created moments of doubt and conflict. Balancing the life of a performer with the demands of personal relationships required vigilance and negotiation, and Close often faced the challenge of carving out her own identity amidst multiple competing pressures. Her personal battles were further complicated by the public's perception of her roles. The intensity of her performances, particularly in psychologically charged films, sometimes led to misinterpretations of her off-screen persona. Close has recounted experiences where audiences conflated her with the characters she played, attributing traits like coldness, obsession, or cruelty to her personally. While these misunderstandings reflected the power of her acting, they also added an emotional layer of complexity to navigating fame. She had to reconcile the public's fascination with and fear of her on-screen presence with her own private identity, a challenge that required both patience and resilience. Yet, in spite of these struggles, Close never allowed herself to be defined by fear or limitation. The very challenges she faced became a crucible for her artistry. Each internal conflict, each moment of doubt, contributed to the depth and authenticity she brought to her characters. Her capacity to explore vulnerability, obsession, and moral ambiguity on screen was inseparable from the real-life navigation of fear, pressure, and expectation. It was through confronting her inner struggles that Close achieved a level of artistic truth that resonated so profoundly with audiences and critics alike. Moreover, these struggles fueled her empathy and understanding, qualities that enriched both her professional and personal life. Close's awareness of the human capacity for error, pain, and resilience allowed her to approach characters with nuance, avoiding caricature or exaggeration. She became adept at capturing the internal contradictions of human nature, simultaneously fragile and formidable, compassionate yet capable of cruelty, dignified yet profoundly flawed. In essence, her own battles behind the scenes informed her ability to bring honesty and depth to every role. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, Glenn Close's inner struggles were no longer hidden. They were subtly woven into the tapestry of her public image. Audiences began to perceive her not just as a performer, but as a deeply thoughtful artist, navigating the same existential and emotional challenges she so often portrayed on screen. Her courage in facing personal and professional adversity while maintaining artistic excellence became a hallmark of her career and a source of inspiration for aspiring actors worldwide. Ultimately, the inner struggles of Glenn Close reveal a paradox that defines her life and work. The same intensity, perfectionism, and vulnerability that made her human also made her extraordinary. The battles she fought behind the scenes against self-doubt, societal expectations, and emotional fatigue were inseparable from the brilliance she brought to her roles. Understanding this dimension of her life allows audiences to appreciate not only the power of her performances, but also the courage, discipline, and resilience required to achieve them. Glenn Close's story is a testament to the idea that true artistry is born not only from talent, but from the willingness to confront the deepest and most challenging aspects of the self.
Beyond the glare of red carpets, the applause of theaters, and the critical acclaim that followed her from film sets to television stages, Glenn Close's personal life has been a world marked by both devotion and quiet complexity.
Unlike many of her contemporaries, who often allowed the tabloid press to dictate the narrative of their private lives, Close maintained a remarkable sense of discretion. Her personal story is not one of constant scandal or drama, but rather a reflection of the intricate balance between ambition, family, love, and personal fulfillment, a balance that demanded courage, self-awareness, and at times difficult choices. Glenn Close was born into a family that valued intellect, responsibility, and achievement. While this environment provided a foundation of stability and inspiration, it also came with the weight of expectations. The Close family instilled in her a deep sense of duty, a desire to excel, and a belief in the transformative power of education and discipline. These early influences shaped not only her professional rigor, but also the ways she navigated her personal relationships. Close approached life with intentionality, carefully weighing decisions in both her career and private world. Yet, as with any path that demands excellence, the pursuit of her artistic ambitions often required sacrifices that resonated deeply within her personal life. One of the most defining aspects of Close's personal life has been her commitment to family. She married businessman John Stark in 1984, a union that offered both love and partnership, providing her with a private sanctuary away from the relentless scrutiny of Hollywood. Together, they raised 3 daughters, Annie, Callista, and Margaret. Balancing the demands of motherhood with a career that required intense emotional labor was a persistent challenge, one that Close has openly acknowledged. She often faced the dilemma of giving herself fully to her roles while also striving to remain present and attentive as a parent. The emotional labor of acting, immersing herself in difficult, often dark characters, sometimes collided with the need for nurturing stability at home, a tension that she navigated with conscious effort and unwavering commitment. While her marriage provided grounding, Close's personal life was not devoid of challenge. The intensity of her work, the constant travel, and the public demands of celebrity life inevitably introduced stress and strain. There were moments when the pressure to perform and the desire to protect her family's privacy felt like competing forces. Yet she cultivated strategies for balance, maintaining a sense of routine at home, fostering deep bonds with her children, and choosing selectively the projects she undertook. This careful navigation allowed her to sustain both her career and her personal life, though not without the occasional sacrifice of personal time or social freedom. Friendships and mentorships also played a critical role in her personal world. She formed lasting bonds with colleagues, fellow actors, and mentors who offered guidance, camaraderie, and understanding in an industry that could often feel isolating. Close valued authenticity in her personal connections, seeking relationships that were supportive, honest, and mutually enriching. She also became a mentor to younger actors, offering encouragement, practical advice, and the wisdom gleaned from her own experiences navigating fame and artistic integrity. These relationships grounded her, providing a network of emotional support that helped her endure the pressures of both career and public scrutiny. Her personal challenges were also marked by her unwavering advocacy for issues close to her heart. Close has been deeply involved in philanthropic work, particularly in the areas of mental health and HIV/AIDS awareness. The decision to publicly champion these causes required courage and vulnerability, as it meant sharing a part of herself with the world while risking judgment or misinterpretation. Yet her commitment to advocacy reflects the core of her character, a desire to use her platform not just for personal gain, but to effect meaningful change. This dedication to causes beyond herself exemplifies the intersection of personal values with public responsibility, a challenge she embraced with grace and determination. Romantic relationships outside of her marriage were not a prominent feature of her public narrative, reflecting both her discretion and her focus on family stability. Close's private choices were guided by a desire for meaningful connections rather than fleeting attention or the validation of public perception. In doing so, she preserved a sense of autonomy over her personal life, an uncommon feat in an industry where private details are often exploited. Her life reflects the delicate balance between maintaining privacy and engaging authentically with the world, a balance she has managed with remarkable skill. Health and well-being, both physical and emotional, constituted an important dimension of Glenn Close's personal life. Years of demanding roles, emotional intensity on set, and long hours posed challenges to her stamina and mental resilience. Close's approach has always been holistic. She prioritized self-care, surrounded herself with supportive relationships, and sought ways to recharge away from the public eye. Her dedication to maintaining balance underscores a broader theme in her life, a persistent commitment to sustaining both the art she loves and the personal life she cherishes. Despite these challenges, Glenn Close's personal life is marked by richness, depth, and fulfillment. The love she shares with her family, the enduring friendships she nurtures, and the causes she champions illustrate a woman who navigates her world with intelligence, integrity, and compassion. The private triumphs of her life, the laughter of her daughters, the support of her husband, the satisfaction of contributing to meaningful change stand in quiet counterpoint to the dazzling, often tumultuous public spectacle of her career. Ultimately, Glenn Close's personal life and challenges reveal the human dimension behind the iconic performances. Her story is not merely one of fame or artistic achievement. It is also a story of careful choices, enduring love, and the courage to maintain authenticity in a world that constantly seeks to define her.
By the late 1980s and early 1990s, Glenn Close had firmly established herself as one of the most formidable actresses of her generation. This period represented the pinnacle of her career, a time when critical acclaim, box office success, and cultural influence converged to solidify her status as an icon of modern cinema. Her ascent to peak success was neither sudden nor accidental. It was the product of decades of disciplined training, thoughtful role selection, and an unyielding commitment to exploring the full spectrum of human emotion. Close's work during this era was defined by intensity, nuance, and a willingness to delve into morally complex and psychologically challenging characters, a choice that set her apart from many of her contemporaries and helped shape the cultural landscape of film and theater. The 1987 release of Fatal Attraction marked a turning point in both Close's career and popular culture. Her portrayal of Alex Forrest, a woman scorned by a fleeting romantic relationship, was chilling, mesmerizing, and unforgettable. Close brought a rare combination of vulnerability, ferocity, and psychological realism to the role, creating a character who was terrifying, yet deeply human. The film was a box office phenomenon, grossing over $320 million worldwide, and Close's performance earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. Beyond the accolades, Alex Forrest became a cultural touchstone, a character who sparked conversation about gender, obsession, and the societal anxieties surrounding female desire and agency. Close's interpretation of Alex Forrest was more than acting. It was a lens through which society confronted uncomfortable truths about love, betrayal, and power dynamics. Following Fatal Attraction, Close continued to take on roles that both challenged her and expanded the public's understanding of her talent. In Dangerous Liaisons, 1988, she portrayed the cunning and manipulative Marquise de Merteuil, a role that demanded elegance, intelligence, and moral ambiguity. The performance was met with widespread acclaim, earning her another Academy Award nomination. Close's ability to embody characters who were at once captivating, intimidating, and morally complex became her signature, and her mastery of such roles contributed to her enduring influence on both film and theater. Her characters were never one-dimensional. They were intricate, unpredictable, and alive, reflecting the depth of Close's own understanding of human nature. Close's cultural impact extended beyond the screen. She became a symbol of versatility, a standard-bearer for actresses seeking challenging roles in an industry often dismissive of women over 40. Her success demonstrated that female actors could headline major films, portray layered antagonists, and command both critical and popular attention without conforming to Hollywood's restrictive archetypes. Close's choices subtly reshaped the expectations for women in cinema, proving that intelligence, depth, and complexity could be celebrated rather than marginalized. This cultural influence was not merely about representation, it was about redefining what it meant to be a female actor in an era still dominated by male-centric narratives. Her peak success also brought with it a unique form of celebrity. Close's public image was that of sophistication, intelligence, and intensity, a persona that complemented her on-screen presence. Unlike more flamboyant stars, she cultivated a reputation grounded in professionalism and artistry. Interviews, public appearances, and award ceremonies highlighted her eloquence, thoughtfulness, and commitment to her craft, reinforcing the perception of Close as an actress of substance rather than spectacle. Her influence was therefore twofold. She shaped the characters she portrayed, and through her persona, influenced how women in the industry were perceived and valued. Beyond her individual performances, Close's impact on popular culture is evident in the way her roles became part of broader societal conversations. Fatal Attraction sparked debates about gender roles, fidelity, and psychological instability. Dangerous Liaisons illuminated the timeless interplay of power, manipulation, and desire. And subsequent performances, from Albert Nobbs to The Wife, continued to challenge audiences to confront complex ethical and emotional dilemmas. Close's work created cultural touchpoints that resonated far beyond the theater or cinema, prompting reflection, discussion, and even controversy. She was not merely entertaining audiences, she was engaging them in a deeper dialogue about human behavior, societal norms, and the consequences of ambition and desire. Her influence also extended to fellow actors, directors, and writers who looked to her as a standard of excellence. Many cite her meticulous preparation, emotional depth, and unwavering commitment to authenticity as a benchmark for their own work. Close's ability to inhabit a character fully, to blend intellectual understanding with emotional truth, set a precedent for performance that continues to inspire actors across generations. Her cultural impact is therefore both public and professional. She shaped the characters she portrayed, and through her persona, influenced how women in the industry were perceived and valued. In addition to cinema, Close maintained a significant presence in theater, where her performances further cemented her legacy. Her portrayals on stage, including in productions like Death in the Mildin and Sunset Boulevard, were lauded for their intensity and precision, demonstrating that her talent was not confined to the screen. The theatrical world, with its demand for sustained emotional engagement and live audience connection, showcased another dimension of Close's artistry and further contributed to her cultural imprint. By the 1990s and 2000s, Glenn Close had become more than an actress. She was a symbol of artistic integrity, intellectual rigor, and the power of female representation in media. Her peak success reflected not just the accumulation of awards and accolades, but a sustained influence on storytelling, character development, and societal perceptions. Through her roles, public persona, and advocacy for complex female characters, Close helped reshape the landscape of modern acting and contributed to a cultural evolution in how women, ambition, and psychological complexity were depicted and understood. Ultimately, Glenn Close's peak success is inseparable from her cultural impact. She transformed fear, desire, intellect, and moral ambiguity into compelling performances that challenged audiences, critics, and the industry itself. Her legacy in this period is a testament to the power of dedication, talent, and fearless willingness to explore the darker and more complex corners of human experience. In doing so, she not only reached the zenith of her own career, but also left an indelible mark on the cultural imagination, a mark that continues to influence and inspire decades later.
As Glenn Close enters the later chapters of her life and career, her legacy has solidified into something far more profound than box office numbers or award trophies. Her work stands as a testament to the power of commitment, artistry, and fearlessness in a profession that often rewards conformity over risk. Reflecting on her nearly 6 decades in the arts, it becomes clear that Close's influence transcends individual performances. She has reshaped the landscape of acting, the portrayal of women in media, and the cultural conversation about character, morality, and ambition. Her legacy is not just about what she did on screen or stage, but about how she changed the way audiences, creators, and critics perceive complex female characters. Close's contribution to the craft of acting is immense. She has consistently demonstrated a rare combination of intellectual precision and emotional depth. Whether portraying a morally ambiguous villain, a vulnerable soul, or a resilient matriarch, Close immerses herself fully in her characters, making each performance feel lived in and authentic. This dedication has set a standard for excellence that aspiring actors continue to study and emulate. Close's approach to acting, meticulous preparation, psychological insight, and fearless emotional exploration has influenced not only her peers, but generations of actors who view her as a benchmark for what is possible in the field. She exemplifies the idea that acting is not merely for entertainment, but about truth-telling, about exploring the human condition in all its complexity. Her legacy is perhaps most visible in the arena of female representation in film and theater. Close has repeatedly chosen roles that defy stereotypes, portraying women as fully realized, often flawed, deeply intelligent, and morally complicated individuals.
From Alex Forrest in Fatal Attraction to the Marquise de Mertel in Dangerous Liaisons, her characters have challenged audiences to confront uncomfortable truths about desire, ambition, and societal norms. Close's insistence on embracing these complex roles contributed to a gradual transformation in Hollywood, demonstrating that audiences are capable of engaging with nuanced female characters and that women can anchor films that are both critically acclaimed and commercially successful. Her work has opened doors for other actresses to pursue challenging, unconventional roles, helping shift the industry toward more authentic and diverse portrayals of women. In addition to her on-screen and on-stage achievements, Close's advocacy and public engagement further enhance her legacy. She has used her platform to champion causes she cares deeply about, from mental health awareness to LGBTQ+ rights, demonstrating that the influence of an artist extends beyond their art. By speaking candidly about personal and societal issues, Close has reinforced the notion that public figures have the power to foster empathy, understanding, and social change. Her commitment to philanthropy and activism complements her artistic contributions, creating a holistic legacy that encompasses both creativity and conscience. Awards and recognition have naturally followed Close throughout her career, cementing her status as one of the most respected actors of her time. She is a multiple-time Academy Award nominee, Emmy Award winner, and Tony Award honoree, placing her among the rare group of performers who have achieved the triple crown of acting. These accolades, while significant, represent only part of her legacy. Perhaps more importantly, they reflect the consistency, bravery, and artistry with which she has approached every role. Close's true legacy is not measured in trophies, but in the indelible impact she leaves on audiences, colleagues, and the industry itself, a benchmark of excellence, authenticity, and courage. Close's cultural impact extends to how her work continues to resonate decades after the initial release of her films. Characters like Alex Forrest and Marquise de Mertel remain iconic, cited in discussions of gender, morality, and psychological complexity. She has become a reference point not only for performances, but for storytelling itself, influencing writers, directors, and actors who seek to create multidimensional, challenging narratives. Her legacy is therefore dual. She has shaped the art of performance and the content of the stories being told, leaving an imprint that continues to guide and evolve the cinema and theater. On a personal level, Close's reflection on her own career reveals a dedication to craft that surpasses mere ambition. Interviews and memoirs show an artist constantly striving for growth, never resting on past successes, and always exploring new ways to challenge herself and her audiences. This relentless pursuit of mastery has made her a model for resilience, discipline, and self-awareness, qualities that resonate far beyond the confines of the entertainment industry. Her career exemplifies the principle that true artistry is a lifelong endeavor, defined not by fleeting fame, but by sustained integrity and contribution. Close's human impact speaks to the broader human experience. Through her portrayals, audiences have grappled with the complexities of love, ambition, power, and morality. She has consistently illuminated the shades of gray in human behavior, inviting reflection, empathy, and dialogue. In doing so, Close has reminded viewers that cinema and theater are not only about escapism, but also about understanding ourselves and the society in which we live. Her legacy is therefore as much philosophical and emotional as it is artistic, inspiring thought, introspection, and growth. In the larger scope of history, Close's work will likely endure as a benchmark for excellence in acting and storytelling. Future generations will look to her career as an example of how intelligence, bravery, and emotional authenticity can redefine artistic standards and cultural norms. Her contributions have transcended the temporal nature of performance, leaving an indelible imprint on both the craft of acting and the cultural imagination. Glenn Close's legacy is not simply her body of work. It is a testament to the transformative power of art, the importance of complex representation, and the enduring impact of a life devoted to the exploration of humanity in all its depth and contradictions. Ultimately, the reflection on Close's career reveals an artist who has not only mastered her craft, but also expanded its possibilities. She stands as a symbol of courage, integrity, and artistry, a living